This portable solar card can power your devices for hours or even days in an emergency. For under $700, you get over 2,500 watt hours of stored energy, 1,100 watts output from this inverter, and 20 amp input from the solar charger. You can't get this kind of capacity on any pre-built unit for the money. Let's take a closer look and build it from scratch. The most expensive and probably important part of this build is the Go KWH 12 volt 200 amp hour mini LFP or lithium iron phosphate battery. It will run you slightly less than $500 right now with a discount code I have in the description. This battery uses grade A prismatic cells that are rated for 8,000 cycles, which would easily last you about 10 years. However, the warranty is 5 years, which seems pretty reasonable. This is also a smart battery, so you can monitor the cycles and live stats by connecting to it via Bluetooth on your phone. It even has built-in safety features like over and under voltage, over current protection, over and under temperature protection, and much more. This battery is small in physical size and has a simple design, but it stores a lot of energy and can be discharged at 1C rate. This means you can potentially build a system capable of 2,500 watt output with just one of these batteries. I will be using this $30 hand cart from Harbor Freight to mount all of the pieces. To make it a lot easier, I cut the scrap piece of plywood to size and painted it black. A simple ratchet strap works perfectly to attach the board and the battery to the cart. We will also need screws and zip ties to make it look a little bit better later on. I'm playing it safe here though and going with this 1,100 watt pure sine wave inverter that I got on Facebook Marketplace for only 40 bucks. You can get them on Amazon for under 90 all day long though, but I wouldn't actually recommend it unless you can get it super cheap like I did. It does have a nice display on the side here, two 120 volt receptacles, a USB port, and it came with good quality cables and a remote control, so I can't really complain about it at 40 bucks. So for this inverter, I installed the terminals on here because the way I had it before, it was kind of not very easy to attach cables, so now it makes it much easier. I paid $8 for 8 of these, so that's a pretty good deal. As far as the placement of the inverter on this board, I'm gonna put it something like this, mostly because I want to have the outlets pointing up as well as the display, so it shows me all the information that I need to have. So I'm just gonna mark where I'm gonna put my screws in. That's not going anywhere. Of course, I will be adding this 125 amp circuit breaker. This should pull at most about 85, maybe 90 amps. So if we go to 125, we have a problem. This will kick off and cut the power, of course. And of course, we have a physical disconnect if we need one. It's gonna go somewhere here, probably like this. I have modified one end of my cable to make sure that it fits into the circuit breaker. Yes, you could just cut off the lug here and then use the stripped copper, but I figured I might be using these cables in the future for something else. So I'm gonna keep them like this. That's very secure in there, has really good connection. Let me connect the red cable right here. Easy to access, easy to read. Now let's install the solar charger because I will be connecting more than one lug to these terminals, so I wanna make sure I connect them at the same time. To charge this battery, I will be going with this $90 Victron Smart Solar 100 by 20 smart charge controller that's capable of charging this battery at 20 amps or about 290 watts per hour, which isn't a lot, but it's meant for emergencies, so that's not really a concern here. You can easily upgrade to a 50 amp version of this charger for an extra $75, which will give you over 700 watts of solar. I will be connecting 4 340 watt panels, but you can get away with just 1 or 2. The reason to go for more is that I get at least 200 watts most of the day. With 1 or 2 panels at most, you'll get 4 to 5 hours of direct sunlight at max output. These were also only $30 on Facebook Marketplace, so there's definitely deals to be had, and I recommend putting as many panels as the controller allows. So 4 of these in 2S 2P configuration will be about 80 volts and under 20 amps, which is this number right here. That gives us a lot more capabilities when we are charging these batteries. The cables I'm installing between the battery and the inverter are 6 gauge because we will be pulling quite a few amps when the system is running at full. For my charge controller, we don't need such thick cables. This is gauge 10 because the max that they can output is 20 amps. So 10 gauge is just fine. I'm using 8 gauge for my solar input just because I already had these made, and I have also tinted the ends of these cables so they stick in here much better and don't pull out. I don't really like the connections right here. It's kind of easy to pull out a regular cable, so I made them basically solid, so when you plug it in and tighten it, it's much harder to pull these out. But the idea is to put it somewhere right here, so that will give me enough space to plug in my solar as well as route these cables to the battery. I'm doing this on the cheap, so I basically just found some random screws I had around the garage. Screws are screws in my opinion. As you can see, everything is securely mounted to our hand cart. So all that's left is connect all of the wires and, well, we're basically done. With the circuit breaker and the inverter switch in the off position, we can start connecting directly to the battery. So this is going to be our main positive for the inverter. This is going to be our positive for the charge controller. And basically we can just stick those on and screw it in place. Of course, you can cut the wire shorter so it just reaches, but I don't think that's a big deal. I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller right here. I'm just gonna remove the positive terminal. As you can see, no spark because everything is turned off. If you're connecting it live with the inverter on or without the circuit breaker, I would recommend getting a discharge resistor. Nice and tight. Now I'm going to connect my negative cable. Make sure this is tight. All the cables are good. We can switch on our inverter. And at this point, we have power. Honestly, that's pretty much it. We are fully done. I'm just gonna use a couple of zip ties to make it look a little bit better, and it's ready to use. It is super easy to move around. Everything's very well attached. Look at that. Once you're done, you put it down, fold in the handle. That's it. This is a really easy and fun project for somebody that's just starting with solar, and you can actually get really good use out of these. For example, I'm going to charge my electric scooter using this system right now. So check this out. I am now charging my e-scooter with this system. It is pulling only 215 watts. So that basically means it will charge the scooter for 10 hours straight. Well, more than 10 hours because we got 2,500 watt hours of power. You might be wondering, why didn't I connect my load, which is the inverter, to these leads right here? Well, that's because this has a limit of 20 amps. When I connect it directly to the battery, we are only limited by how much this can pull and of course the discharge rate of this battery. But as I mentioned, this battery can discharge at 200 amps. The max we will do is only about 75 to 85. All right, so I brought everything into my garage because that's where I actually have those solar panels terminated. This cable comes from the solar panels, and that's what I use to charge this battery. So I'm gonna plug in the cable here. Everything else is turned off at the moment. So I have the solar power plugged in now. We're gonna put that to the side, switch the inverter on. So now we're using the charge controller to charge the battery, and at the same time we're taking the energy from the battery, converting it to 120 volts and charging that scooter. Of course, you can power portable fridges, even big fridges in your house in an emergency, or space heaters, or any small electronics and appliances that you wish. Since this is a smart device, we can connect to it through the app. And there you go. We are at 99% state of charge. It would take 20 hours to go to empty at the current discharge rate. What is the current discharge rate? We are pulling about 9 amps and 130 watts. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can log in, see all the information. We can see that the charging is on, discharging is on. We are not balancing the cells because the battery is already balanced. and the protection is off, meaning there is no issues and there's no protection that needs to be turned on. We can also see the temperature of the battery. It looks like it only has one sensor. It would be nice if it had more, but that should be enough. And that's pretty much all you get to see here, but it's nice. You can also see the cycle index. So once you've used it a few times, charged and discharged, the number will go up, and then you know how close you're getting to the end of life. And like I said, it's like 8,000 cycles, so it will take quite a long time. What we're gonna do now is actually, I'm gonna bring it into my studio and I'm gonna hook up a resistive heater that will pull about 950 watts, and we'll see the actual capacity that this battery has. All right, so here is how we're gonna be testing the actual capacity of this system. I have hooked up this shunt to the negative terminal, so it goes from the load here through the shunt to the actual battery. We're powering it from the positive side right there, so everything is hooked up, and as you can see, it's telling us we are at 13.3 volts. As soon as I turn this on, all of the stuff is going to start going up, and this number at the end will tell us how many watts we have actually used. So let's switch the system on. That's on. That is on. My lights come on. Perfect. We can see that the load is going up, and that's because I have this resistive space heater that's going to be using about 950 watts once it heats up. And I've just connected a regular power strip to the inverter, and the space heater is connected separately just because I'm not really sure what this is rated for, so I've just connected the lights to this power strip. My phone is charging from the same power strip, and we are now using 910 watts, still going up. As you can see, in just the time I've been talking, we have already used 12 watt hours of energy, and we are now at 72 amps. That's why we want to use these beefy cables and not like those thin cables that I'm using for charging. All right, I'm gonna let this run. It will probably be 3+ hours, as this is a lot of energy stored, and we'll see the result at the end. All right, guys, so we are very close to the end. We have about 5% state of charge left. It's telling me it's going to be about 6 minutes to empty. The battery has heated up a little bit. It's at 37 degrees Celsius or 99 degrees Fahrenheit. It has been going for over 2.5 hours. I started that a bit late. And as we can see, we are at 2,411 watt hours. So we have about 100 something to go. We are now at basically 80 amps. Let me check the wires. The wires are not hot. They're a little warm, but definitely not hot. So that's good to see. That's telling me that this design will work just fine, because we've been going for almost 3 hours at almost full capacity of this inverter, and it's been fine. So I'm very happy to see that so far. I do also wonder what is the cutoff voltage on this battery. We are at 11.75 volts now. So is it gonna go all the way down to 10? I believe the minimum cell voltage on lithium iron phosphate batteries is 2.5, which would mean it can go all the way down to 10. Most batteries are usually set to like 2.6 or 2.8 volts. So let's see. All right, so the inverter is now complaining that the voltage is too low. I believe the inverter is set to cut off at about 11 volts or just under. And we are at exactly 11 volts right now. Well, looks like we officially just hit 2.5 kilowatt hours. And there you have it, guys. We are now done, and we can actually see the protection cell under voltage. As you can see right there, protection cell under voltage. So that means one of the cells is now lower than the set amount, which would definitely make sense, as we are at 10.9 volts for the total battery. If you didn't catch it in the video, the battery capacity ended up being just over 2,500 watt hours, starting at 97%. So if we add those 3%, which is about 75 watt hours, we end up with just over the advertised capacity. That's pretty impressive, especially as I was running this test at 0.45 C rate. Anyway, I think this project has been a success, and if you build one yourself, should help you power many devices and appliances in an emergency or even on regular basis to save some money. A modern fridge using 100 watts an hour could run for a full day on this. Anyway, check out this video right here where I show you how to build a much bigger and more powerful solar generator that's capable of charging my electric vehicle. I would also love to hear what you think about this project down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!